Hello, everyone. Welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick. Over on the other side of the comms is, of course, Justin. And today we've got something interesting for you. Fun fact: this is actually our second take of this video.
there's a
We would have
chance.
had,
There's a chance that the first take might be put into a bloopers or something. Who knows?
yeah, like if we ever have like a bloopers reel, we'll maybe just put that there somewhere. I don't
Well, I
know
mean, I
because
have the file,
we have part of the file because we were
most of it.
recording it, and then for some odd reason, the file just decided to
The
stop.
recording software acted like it was still recording, but somehow wasn't. So
Yeah,
gotta
so out
love
of a
that processing power.
like a 20-30 minute video, like only 18 of it actually got recorded. So, haha,
Yes,
here we are doing it again. Oh god, I hate that.
he's fine.
Just because it's more work. But anyways,
More work.
me being lazy
Time is an
aside.
extension of meaning.
Well, yeah, my meaning has been questioned. But anyways,
Yes. Now questioning on meanings brings us to our topic
questioning on
today.
meaning. Yes, questioning on meaning brings us to our interesting topic today. We actually are doing Unity this week, specifically the big controversy surrounding Unity. For those who don't know, Unity is one of the two big game engines on the market right now. Let me just explain what a game engine is first for those who don't know. Game engines are effectively the backbone of how games are built. So there's really two ways you can go doing game development. You can either do all the coding yourself, which involves a lot of work, a lot of time, and generally a lot of money if you're hiring people to do it. And generally, engines will come out of this if you're doing like proprietary software that does something specific, like for example, Anvil Engine and stuff like that. Or, and again, each of the big studios kind of have their own engine that they like to work with. Or you can use an engine. And an engine is effectively just the skeletal framework already set up for the game, and you basically just mess around with it as is. You've got pre-made assets sometimes, you've got drag and drop features a lot. It simplifies the process of game development, makes it a lot faster, a lot cheaper, and a lot easier, generally speaking.
Generally.
Generally. Again, it will depend on your knowledge. But that's basically the kind of sum of it, right? An engine is basically the backbone of a game. More unless it's been again coded by hand, which requires a lot of time, money, and effort. And in the gaming space, there's two big engines that everyone knows about if you're a game dev. You've got Unreal Engine, owned by Epic, and you've got Unity Engine, owned by somebody. I don't know who owns Unity. Yeah, no, small oversight, but whatever. Not important. What is important is what happened with Unity recently. Unity is a big engine specifically in the mobile space. You'll often see games in mobile that are made through Unity. Sometimes in the PC market as well. Like for example, Justin is playing City Skylines that is also made in Unity,
Yep.
but generally speaking, it's an engine that is more or less used a great deal in the mobile space, not much else. Somewhere in the PC and console market, but again, mostly mobile. Versus Epic, which is done primarily in PC and console, not much in phone because there's just way too much power in Unreal to support phone development. Wait until like the Samsung 65. Maybe we'll get there one day. Maybe we'll get there one
200
day.
years. 200 years.
200 years, 200 years. But anyways, so what happened with Unity recently? Well, what Unity did recently really, really sank them because what they did is they changed up their pricing model. Obviously, these engines are not free. You can download Unity or Epic for yourself right now. There's nothing stopping you. And you can make things yourself, games and whatnot.
Just
But the
know that
moment
it'll
you start,
cost you money very quickly.
we'll get to that. Um, Effectively, again, once you start charging for these games, generally how these engines work, again, Unity and Epic, is that they have thresholds, right? And once you meet these certain thresholds, you will start being charged a percentage or a certain amount based on the amount of games based on the amount of profit you have, and that'll go back to the engine again to pay for the fact that you used it. So the engines are free more or less until you start making good money off it. Then they start being charged. So again, what's the problem with all this? Well, recently Unity changed up their pricing model a massive deal. let me do that again. Unity changed up their pricing model a great deal, and this resulted in one hell of a backlash from the dev community the world over, which in many ways also resulted in some pretty credible death threats. But again, we'll get to that. So what exactly happened? Well, like I said, generally speaking, the original model for most engines is that once you meet a certain threshold, you get charged a percentage of your earnings. Sounds simple, right? Well, Unity decided to overhaul their pricing scheme, and instead of doing it per percentage, it is now per download. Let me clarify that. So every single time a Unity developer has a game downloaded, or a Unity based game is downloaded, that person, once they meet the threshold, will now start getting charged. And The Verge actually has, again, one of the articles we have down in the description, a nice little table breaking out how this kind of plays out. So right now there are 3 Unity tiers, shall we say, in their business model. Unity Personal and Plus, Unity Pro, and Unity Enterprise. Well, technically 4 if you lump Personal and Plus together, but again, semantics. So once you meet the thresholds, which is either $200,000 in the last 12 months or a 200,000 installs in the lifetime of the game, and this is for the Personal and Plus, you will start getting charged 20 cents per install. 20 cents.
20 cents.
So,
This is going to add up.
this is going to add up, Again, this is just for the Personal and Plus memberships. And again, there are breakdowns from 1 to 1,000, 1,001 to 50,000, or 500,000, 500,001 to 1 million, and then over 1 million. So basically, again, it works out to every install in the Personal one is going to put you at like 2 cents, somewhere like there. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? 20 cents per install? Doesn't sound that bad. Sure. At the beginning, it doesn't. But let's do a bit of numbers, class. Again, I feel like a math teacher.
Gentlemen.
Gentlemen, let's do the math. Let's say you have 20 cents, right? So you're just working with 20 cents. After, say, 5,000 downloads, which is not that hard to reach for a decent game. And again, this is per install, not percentage. So this isn't a percentage of their earnings. This is literally straight up per install. $1,000 is going straight to Unity. Just after 5,000 downloads. Or 5,000 installs. My mistake. Straight to Unity. This is a lot of money. Especially in the indie space, where if you don't know, margins for game devs is pretty slim as is. So it's generally easier to have a percentage of the game's earnings versus a flat rate, because that means a game has to basically make that much money just to pay its bills. Versus a percentage rate where you're always going to be able to pay the bills, it's just a 4% of whatever you earn. And again, we'll get to the percentages later. Now, when you go to Unity Pro, it's a bit different. 1 to 1,000 over the threshold. You're looking at, and again, the thresholds for the Pro are actually much higher. So you have to make over 1 million revenue USD in the last 12 months, or you have to have reached 1 million downloads in the course of the product's life. Once you get to that threshold, after every install from the first 1 to 100,000 is going to cost 15 cents. And every 1,001 to 500,000 after that is going to cost 0.075 per install. Every 5,001 to 1 million is 0.3 cents, 3 cents. And over 1,000,001 is going to put you back at 2 cents per install. And again, the numbers just go up when you get to Enterprise. So yeah, a lot of money. So as you can imagine, this is a pretty big deal. Because this is basically forcing game developers to now effectively start juicing their players just to make bank, because every time someone installs that game, there's going to be more money that they're going to have to pay to Unity. And again, that's just per install. Now, if you're a game like a live service model, this is easier to do because you're kind of getting money back from players throughout the course of the lifetime in general. But if you're just a game like, again, the last time we recorded this, we used the case of Elden Ring. You are a game, again, it is neither made on Unity or, it's a good example, but it's not made on Unity, but the point still stands. It is a single-player game that doesn't really have much in the way of DLC, or it has no service model either. You are literally paying people off of the initial purchase, and that's it. And you might be thinking, well, that's not that bad. $10 every time someone pays, you're already getting something back. Sure.
Not terrible, but
again, think about it. That purchase price includes everything. Dev costs, living expenses. You're starting to have to divvy up the pie for what exactly that $10 is going towards. So yeah, on the surface, again, you're charging $10 a game, you're making that back and then some right there. But again, living expenses, prices for the developer, or the salaries of the developers, because people don't work for free. You have to take all of these things into account, and then you have to pay with whatever's left over. And that's not even touching the whatever profits are left from the game after that. So yeah, this can quickly add up. So all that said and done, not good. And people reacted about what you'd expect from their livelihood being threatened. They rioted.
Yep.
Game developers literally rioted. And how exactly did that play out? Well, the first thing that came out of this is a company called AppLovin launched a free tool to help devs migrate from Unity to other engines amid the controversial runtime fee rollout. That's what they're calling this, the runtime fee. And I won't go too deep into how this works because it revolves around coding and how the engines work and specifically of how Unreal uses C# and Unity uses C# and Unreal uses a different coding language. Again, I won't go too into the details, but just know that that happened and it exists to help people migrate over because of these changes. Again, that is an article by Game World down in the description. If you want to read that, go into it. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm just going to say it exists.
Yep.
We're going to link it. I'm not going to go into it because, again, too much coding jargon for this video.
It'll be there.
It'll be there. Now, again, back to the side of how this happened. Well, again, it didn't exactly go well. First off, people rioted, like I said. And they'll be charging per installation. This didn't go well. And, well, long story short, people rioted, like I said, and Unity was forced to backpedal real quick. See, after several of their own offices actually got shut down after they received what they described as credible death threats, which, okay, before I talk too deep into that, I do not condemn death threats. I do not condone death threats. Not condemn, condone death threats. And I can speak for Justin here too.
Yep.
We do not condone death threats. Generally speaking, I also don't understand the anger that comes out of death threats. Yeah, it's bad, but I don't know you want to kill someone for it. But let me just say this. While I never condone death threats, and I still don't in this case, I can certainly see at the very least where the anger comes from in this case. Unity is threatening people's livelihood. Yeah, they're gonna be pissed.
Yeah, it's not boding too well in more ways than one.
Yeah. And so as a result, Unity was forced to quickly backpedal and straight up apologize for their pricing model, their runtime fee, again, as they're calling it. Specifically, they put a tweet online on Twitter, and they stated, and I quote, "We have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday caused. We are listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and we'll be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a couple of days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback. And again, this is an article mentioning all of this from Engadget. Again, link in the comments. Let me just say, I don't think you ever talked to the community to begin with, because if you did, you know that this was a bad idea to begin with.
It wasn't good. It was not.
It wasn't going to be a good idea to begin with. And again, Justin actually mentioned in the first video we did that they actually took down, what was it, their terms of service on GitHub?
Yes, allegedly they've taken it down. Nick hasn't been able to find any sources of said alleged activity, but from what I have found out initially, it has been reported when people first started talking about this that they had removed their TOS. So take that with a slight grain of salt, but all things considered, it does seem like it probably is very well likely what happened.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
If they're taking down their terms of service. It certainly indicates that Unity from the get-go knew this was going to be a bad decision, knew this was going to piss people off. They just had no idea just how much people were going to get pissed off. And again, the fact that they backpedaled within a week of this being announced shows you just how much of a bonfire this caused. People were literally hemorrhaging from their service, because again, people were literally saying, if you buy our game, don't install it, because it's going to cost them, and that's going to be bad, and it's going to quickly add up. And I'm curious in their runtime fees and policy how it was going to work, because here's the thing. Let's say you buy a game. You're not charging per the game being bought anymore, you're charging per install. But here's the thing. And devs were even saying, like I said, if you buy the game, don't install it. What happens if I install the game, uninstall it to make something else, and then reinstall it again later? Did I just double charge the developer?
Perhaps.
That's a good question to have raised. Like, if that's the case, then yeah, that's just Unity double, triple, or quadruple dipping, depending on how you look at it. And again, you can certainly see if that's the case, which I really, considering the scumminess of this action, have very little reason to believe it wouldn't be. You can certainly see why people were pissed about this. So you're probably saying, okay, whatever, they apologized, so what? People... Well,
apparently they apologized.
Well, no, they did apologize. We have proof of that. Again, link in the description. But not only did they apologize, they actually vowed to revamp their policy and change it to not whatever this is. And under the tentative new plan, and several, they would say that they would limit the fees to 4% of the game's revenue for customers making over $1 million. Yeah, because a lot of games using Unity make over $1 million. Also, we also talked about last video that Pokemon Go is made in Unity.
Yes.
There are two sides of Nintendo company. There is the we don't care, and there is we will sue you into oblivion.
You are in grave danger, little one.
You are in danger. So I wonder how a company like Nintendo would react to this, because while Pokemon Go isn't directly made by Nintendo, it's made by a different studio or a different developer. They are still tithing up, if you'll borrow my Destiny terminology, to Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I wonder how Nintendo will react to this, because you can bet your bottom dollar they've heard about this. I mean, who hasn't at this point, if you're in the game dev space? I haven't heard of Nintendo threatening to lawsuit yet, so maybe they thought that maybe they think this will work itself out. Maybe they were waiting to see how this would play out first.
Maybe.
Before they said anything. Maybe. Yeah, tomorrow morning I just wake up. News from Nintendo. Mario threatens
Everyone
to
is dead.
sue Unity into oblivion.
The entire world blows up.
Yeah. Headlines. Lawsuit, I choose you.
So,
Lawsuit. Use court ruling.
oh god,
It was super effective. Sorry. I was gonna sidetrack
he
here.
was banned.
Bad. But anyways. So yeah, Unity states that they will now limit their fees to 4% of the game's revenue for customers making over 1 million. Again, not sure that'll affect people with less than that. Maybe it'll be less. And says that installations counted towards reaching the threshold won't be retroactive. So I'm guessing that also means they won't be double dipping.
Mhm.
According to the recording, again, whoever made this article, this one's from Bloomberg, again, link in the description. I don't know if that's the best way to phrase this word. According to recording of the meeting, I'm guessing it's according
Don't
to a
worry
recording.
about it.
I'm sorry, that just makes my brain hurt every time I read it.
My brain
Anyways.
does not understand.
Anyways, their chief executive officer, that is of Unity, John Riccitiello, delayed an all-hands-on meeting on the pricing changes and closed 2 offices after, again, receiving what it said was a credible death threat. That's what happens when you threaten people's livelihood. That's all I can say to that. The company apologized on Sunday, so again, they released this Tuesday, and by Sunday they were apologizing for it. So, pretty fast turnaround. They haven't yet announced the latest changes because executives are still running them by partners and don't want to repeat last week's communications debacle. That's one way to put it. Which led to several clarifications. Yeah, that's another way of putting that. But yeah, basically they've stated that there will be a new policy. They're looking into it. They're changing it, or they're looking into changing it. And we'll hear about that whenever that happens. Funny enough, at the meeting, again, the one revolving their chief executive officer,
Right.
Mr. Riccitiello, several employees asked during the meeting how Unity would bounce back from what appeared to be a breach of trust. I don't think this is a pure breach of trust. This is a breach of trust.
Just on some level, but probably yes.
Yeah. Executives said the company will have to show, not tell, and handle future communications more carefully. You think.
Yes.
I don't think there's any version of this, and again, this is what Riccitiello said, that would have gone down a whole lot differently than what happened. It is a massively transformational change to our business model. Again, you think. But he acknowledged, I think we could have done things a lot better. Again, for the final time, you think. I mean, this whole article is just the equivalent of one giant understatement.
It's
yeah.
fine.
But yeah, that's kind of where we are at the Unity controversy. So again, the new pricing model got revealed. It was charging per installation. Literal game developers started coming out saying, please don't install our game if you buy it because it's going to cost us money. People started boycotting, jumping off Unity. Unity saw the bonfire they caused, quickly apologized come Sunday, and vowed to change their plan moving forward. Funny enough, you also mentioned that the developers who made Cult of the Lamb
Yes.
actually said that they would stop selling as a result of this.
Cult of the Lamb is officially likely going to be removed, specifically on Steam and any other distributors. So if you want to get the game while you can, because as long as you have it in your library or some kind of archive, you're good. But after that, you're not going to be able to get it anymore, therefore you're not going to be able to download it, because they likely aren't going to be able to keep up with that. Because they would be the prime example of a game that kicked off really well, has a lot of popularity at first, but doesn't really have many people purchasing it and buying it anymore now. So nowadays, they really wouldn't be able to go and keep up with the fees that they would gain because of new downloads. So.
Oh, wait, never mind. We rescind the previous accusation. I just quickly looked it up. So according to Polygon, no, Cult of the Lamb is not getting deleted over the Unity fees.
No, interesting. Last I heard that someone said that they would be taking it down because they wouldn't be able to keep up with the fees.
Yeah, according to this, isn't getting deleted. Massive Monster, which developed the game, jokingly posted to X. Damn it, Musk! Why couldn't you have just left it Twitter? Why X? You have to be edgy like that.
Yes.
What's that thing in anime they talk about? The freaking It's a trend that's coming out in characters nowadays, where it's like they want to be edgy and they have that edgy phase.
Yeah.
Someone knows what I'm talking about in the audience. You know exactly what this is. Musk's edgy
Do
phase.
you know what I am doing?
Should it be or something like that? I don't. It starts with a C. Anyone in the audience knows exactly what I'm talking. There's someone in here who does. This is exactly what Musk's doing right now. He's having the edgy phase. For no bloody reason. It's just ticking everyone off. But anyways, they jokingly stated that it would be taken off last week. When Unity's new wildly unpopular installation fees are set to install, Unity itself was seemingly concerned. Seemingly, I wonder why.
Seemingly.
He replied on X that it was working to clarify specifics. Soon after, Massive Monster reassured Cult of the Lamb fans that the post was a joke and that Cult of the Lamb is safe. It was a joke on Twitter. I mean X. Anyways, that's me quoting. That was literally what they said. So maybe they did it jokingly, maybe not jokingly, and then.
I mean, no matter what,
And again, I'll put this article
point,
in the.
a big point to keep in mind, and it is very well true when I say this. I don't think companies and developers are exactly going to be able to keep up with the costs and prices of being able to keep up their game forever, because like I said with Cult of the Lamb, although sure they're not going to take it down, all right, cool, awesome, that doesn't exactly mean that their profits are 100% going to keep up with the demand that they like, their needs, as well as the needs that Unity would like them to uphold.
That's the thing, right? Like this article does confirm what I read about in the Bloomberg article, which I also have linked in the comments, which is that the new plan that they're coming out could limit the fees to only 4% of the game's revenue for customers that make over $1 million, which Cult of the Lamb I certainly believe falls into. So they stated that while it won't get deleted, it will probably delay future projects as a result. And again, this goes back into this issue that because of this new pricing model, or because of the pricing model in general, if it had stayed, into whatever form it will stay in the future after it's changed, it would have and could still force people to squeeze their player bases more, which is bad because, like I said, Unity is used a lot in the mobile space, a space which, remember, is already thick with exploitation and monetization and just scummy business practices. Yeah. And this is only going to force people who really don't want to do that to have to do it just to pay the bill. So, you know, it really doesn't bode well.
No.
And that's just the mobile space. That's not going to... This is definitely going to have knock-on effects in the PC and console space as well, but again, that's a whole other can of worms.
It's going to be to varying degrees.
Yeah, so, again, this is just scummy all around. But again, that's kind of where we leave it for this video.
Yep.
So that happened. People rioted, sent death threats. Unity panicked, quickly rescinded the previous statement, and said they would change their plan. And yeah, and the company released a product to help people migrate over to different engines to, you know, get away from Unity. So yeah, this will... I really want to see what Unity's stock price is right now. It's probably through the floor.
Not doing so great.
Definitely not. But we'll see. Again, we'll see how this goes. Any closing thoughts on the matter, Justin?
No. The only big thing is, as of right now, be prepared for a lot of companies to make some scrambles and have to change with a lot of the things that they're doing. Because although, like I said, I thought Cult of the Lamb was going to be going down, it's not. That's awesome. That doesn't particularly mean that other companies aren't going to suddenly make changes and switches, because I do know for a fact some who've been working on games are going and suddenly changing from one engine to another. So be prepared for a game that you likely were hoping to come out soon, coming out later, likely due to the fact that it was on the Unity engine and is no longer going to.
Switch over now.
So
yeah, again, that does kind of harken back to what is the whole fact that like Cult of the Lamb jokingly saying they'll delete itself might have frightened the out of Unity.
It
Because
might have
remember,
frightened it all out. Yeah.
that would probably have been a sign to Unity that hey, they might be joking, but if they're not, that might be a sign of what everyone else is gonna do. And Cult of the Lamb is a smash hit, so if that goes, what else is gonna go, right? So it might have scared Unity into making a faster response than they might have done originally, or hell, maybe just a response in general. Because it's certainly not beyond companies to go, well, you don't like our plan? Too bad. But
Bye.
again, they're hemorrhaging player bases. They were hemorrhaging their customer base so bad, they were gonna have to. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen.
It wouldn't be a surprise.
Just make no mistake, and this is gonna be my final words on the topic before we close out for tonight.
Yep.
Unity knew, and again, I don't know about the terms of service because I haven't looked that one up yet. But one thing is certain: Unity knew from the get-go this was gonna be a trash fire. No, they knew this was gonna be bad from the get-go, especially if what Justin says is true and they deleted the terms of service, which again, take with a grain of salt. They knew this was going to be bad. But I don't think they thought this was going to be such a trash fire that it ended up being.
Yeah, they
So that might
likely
be why they
thought this
responded
was
so
going to be
quickly.
better than it actually was.
Definitely. They definitely thought this was going to be bad. They just didn't expect it to be this bad. So don't be fooled when Unity says, we're sorry, we apologize. They knew damn well this was going to be bad. They just didn't think it would be this bad. This is a company backpedaling, not out of sincerity, but it's more out of fear. This is not an act of morality. This is an act of terror on Unity's part. And I think I'll just leave it at that one.
Yep.
But anyways, hopefully we'll have something more exciting. No, not exciting. Happy to talk about next week instead of, hey, all your games might getting deleted.
Have fun.
We'll see. have fun. Click. But anyways, see you all next week from us at the Midweek office, from me, from Justin, from the pillow
The
I'm currently laying
void
my head
of
on.
the underworld.
The void of the underworld, the man on the wall. See you all next week. Bye-bye now.